Hi. I found the cord to my mic. Okay, if you are hashtag replay gang, please check the description box below to see when this actually gets started. We are going to be talking Love is Blind. Doot. Let's see, what do we have? 3 episodes. EP10, which is called Runaway. Groom. EP11, which is called Don't Go Breaking My Heart. And then EP12, which is called A Vow or Seven people in the room. Hello. Hey, Hard to Know. Hey, Jacqueline. Hey, Asha. Or Aisha. Hey, Saraya. Don't worry, Saraya. You made it to this one. That's all that matters. I'm slightly under the weather because I got on a plane on Wednesday and this man was coughing behind me. Oh. You ever get that feeling where you're not hungry, but you want something? That's where I'm at right now. And I don't know what it is that I want. Like, am I I'm not hungry. I don't feel the pangs of hunger. But it's like, I want something tasty. Maybe I'll treat myself once I eat, once I clean. I'll feel better. 10 people in the room. Hello. Hello. Just want to chew or something. Yeah. Hello. Hello. Hi. Yeah. I took some fast and quick notes for this because I had to get these episodes done. I watched it on 1.5. It's so annoying that when you watch Netflix on your television, you cannot change the speed. But when you watch Netflix on your computer, you can change the speed. So I have to watch it on my computer in order to be able to watch it at like 1.5 so that I can get through the episode. Cuz sometimes, girl, I don't care. I don't care about these hometowns or these like deep conversations they're trying to have with their friends. The truth is that this timeline is too short. It's too short of a timeline. This series is too big of a series. And it feels like every week, not only do these people have to go to work, but then they have to like pretend to live in this apartment with these people. And then they have to, I don't believe for 1 second that these people have like completely lived together. I feel like maybe seasons 1, 2, and 3, I think they did, but Denver did, and even Seattle. I feel like Seattle is the first city that I was like, do they really live with each other? It feels like they're just going, to when they film, or maybe they sleep 1 or 2 nights together and try to do dinner. But everyone has such different lives, and they're all like, I'm ready to be married, but I'm like, no, you're not. If you cannot live in this apartment with this person 24/7, or if you're still like trying to figure out like how to have your friend time, because that's what I mean, most people aren't ready to give up their friend time, their times hanging out with their friends. They're like, oh, I'm ready to be married. But I guess the people that I know that are married and like somewhat successful, they spent a lot of time just the two of them, except for maybe when we were in college. But like for the most part, they did a lot of things together. And I feel like a lot of these couples don't do stuff together. They still have their separate lives or they still do the things that they want to do and not together. Like if you guys are both gym rats, y'all should go to the gym together. Figure that out. If it was just interesting. Like I know Jordan didn't live there because he had Luca half the week. Did she go and live in their one bedroom apartment to like hang out with him and Luca all day? He made it seem like she did one day, one time, but does she do that weekly? So it's just all very confusing. And I'm like, this is why this experiment doesn't work because these people truly are not ready to give up what their current life is in order to create something new. I think everyone thinks they're just gonna kind of absorb or like meld, but I'm like, you can't meld in 3 weeks. You cannot meld in 3 weeks. You have to totally give up what you're doing and focus in. And then maybe you can but you can't do that in the beginning. In the beginning, you got to be like all in. And I wish there was an episode where they talked about finances. Like that's what I want to hear. I want to hear the episode. I want the episode where they talk about finances, where they talk about if they're gonna have two, like and have a real conversation where he's like, I'm a traditional man and I want to be the breadwinner and I want all these things. Um, and so therefore we're gonna have a joint account and I'm going to give you part of my money to you so that you can do whatever, or I'm gonna pay all the household bills. I would appreciate it if 50% of your money goes to our retirement plan, which we would save up and do or something. Like have the conversation. Like I honestly feel like all of these conversations where they talk about traditional family values, they need to talk about the money, traditionally the money part of it. Okay. I think there's 19 people in the room. We can go on ahead and get started. We'll get started at 7:30. Hey guys, it's Wahima, but just call me Wah. Melanated. Welcome to my recap of Love is Blind Season 9. This is episodes 10 through 12. My name is Wahima, and I do recaps of relationship reality TV shows such as Love is Blind, 90 Day Fiancé, Seeking Sister Wife. So if you're interested in that content, please subscribe to my channel. If while watching this you get the hee hee ha ha's and you want to give your girl a tip, there's some options scrolling at the bottom of the screen. As a reminder, Wednesday was my birthday. So if you want to give me some birthday cheers money, you know what I mean, buy me a drink, go on ahead. Venmo, PayPal, Cash App. I won't stop you. I won't judge you. I'll love you for it. Thank you for those of you who did earlier this week. I appreciate it and don't expect anything more from you. I don't expect anything from anybody, but I do expect a thumbs up. So go on ahead and give this video a thumbs up right now. And if you're an international girly and you want to tip me, you can do so via a super thanks here on YouTube. On Facebook, I don't know if there's a way to do it. Let me tell you about Facebook's trifling ass. So Facebook, wow. Facebook will give me 22 cents for a live that has 3,000 views. I have not figured out how to make Facebook profitable, but for those of you who are watching on Facebook, hello. Because a lot of people are watching on Facebook, way more than YouTube. That's crazy to me. I actually went over there to see what was up, and I said 3,000 views. I'm barely getting 700 views on YouTube. Like, 800. I don't break 1,000 anymore. But YouTube, that's where the check is. So, Facebook, Meta, talk to your girl. Explain to her what's going on. Anyways, that's not for you to worry. Not at all. But thank you so much for those of you who did give money for my birthday. Cheers. I appreciate it. All right. So let's jump right into the first episode, which is episode 10, and it is called Runaway Groom. Okay. In this episode, Nick breaks up with Annie Girl. Is his name Luke or Nick? Who knows? Those two names are interchangeable for me. That's the same person in my mind. It's a blonde man with blue eyes, maybe dirty blonde. Sometimes Nick can be black. And if he's Nick Davis, this is a completely different person. But, in the realm of white men, Nick and Luke are the same person to me. So Listen, he sat this girl down in their make believe home and he told her, listen, you last night, you being drunk and telling me that you feel like I don't love you as much as you love me and that I'm not showing it to you and that, you're feeling weird because I spoke to what was the other girl? Katie or Kate? It was too much. When we were in Mexico, I told you that was the last time I was going to have a conversation with you telling me how I felt when I've already told you how I feel. And she's like, it's fine. And he's like, it's not fine. I'm not going to go to the altar with somebody who is going to argue with me over nothing. And I said, I know people don't like Luke Nick and they didn't, she's still defending him on social media right now. She went on the files and was telling people that she just thinks that people don't understand him. And I don't care about what he's like in real life. That man is surviving. There's obviously some trauma, some things he's hiding. He is surviving the best way that he knows how. To me, he didn't do anything overwhelmingly or glaringly wrong during this series. And you can remind me if I'm wrong about that, but I don't recall him doing anything that was like, oh my God, red flag, red flag. Besides the fact that he says I'm a size queen, which is like a super red flag. Let me see. Do I have a picture of him? Patrick, Mike, Sparkle, Madison, Edmund. No, I don't. Well, I do have a picture of Annie, though. Oh, I do have a picture of him. So this is Annie, too much hair on her head. And this is Nick or Luke. He's Nick. And so I just really, really, really was like, here. Thank you, Joy. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up. Busola, hello. Okay. So I just was like, he's like, I can't do this with you. And I said, bravo. I'm tired of people pushing through behaviors that they've clearly set a line or a boundary on and then having that person break that and then them being like, well, maybe they'll change. No, this is too quick of a process for you to not be able to take my expectations and pivot and make a new choice. That's what I'm gonna need at the altar. I think that a lot of the earlier couples, it felt as though they had more privacy, and I don't know that to be true. It just felt as though they had more privacy. And it felt that a lot of them were willing to go through with the process to see it through because they got so well in Love Is Blind. And it feels like these newer couples, it's such high visibility. It's such a big deal when they go out, and they're filming. It is just such a difference of a show. And so many people, like the fact that Joe got casted on this show and made it all the way is wild to me. There is nothing about that person that led me to believe that he was at all ready to be married. At all. And he showed his ass in this episode. So Nick breaks up with Annie. Annie keeps telling him that she doesn't want to hear it right now and that, he doesn't have to make the decision right now. And that she really wanted to try on that wedding dress. She's like, the wedding dress try on is tomorrow. I want to try on wedding dresses. Stop telling me that you don't want to marry me because what you're saying isn't computing. It isn't making sense to me. That's not true. You do want to marry me. You just said so yesterday. He's like, that was yesterday before you got drunk and then started to question my character. And I get that because to me, like, how if I tell you something, and granted, people say things all the time and lie. People or have good intentions, don't mean to lie. I'm not that person. I took a personality test for work, and for those of you guys who've done the color code, I'm blue. Okay. One of the things with blue is that they have to be moral. And that is me. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to blow smoke. I'm not going to tell you something that is not true in order to protect myself, to protect your feelings, to make things not awkward. If you ask me a question, I will answer it, which is why I always tell people, don't ask me a question you don't want to answer to, or you don't want the wrong answer to, because I will give you the wrong answer. I don't have that bone in my body. I don't know how people do it. And it's to my detriment for the most, but I can't do it. So for you to constantly tell me that you feel like, even though I've told you I'm in or I'm interested and I want to do this, for you to question that and I don't know, try to give me outs or try to get me to convince you more or show more in different ways. No, I'm not going to. What you get from me is what you get. If it's not in me to show you more in the way that you wanna be shown, then we're not gonna work. I don't have I don't have it. I don't have to choose you. I'm not gonna do it. So then we move on to Calabria and Edmund, and they talk about their fight from the last time. And he's sitting at the counter and she's on the couch and she's like, "I don't understand why in the moment you're unable to control yourself emotionally." Like, and that's what it is. It feels like he is emotionally unintelligent. Like he doesn't have a way to go, "Oh, I'm this feeling is happening. I need to tamp down." And then to speak about how he feels in a way that is like level. So as we recall from their last thing, they had some kind of tiff, and she explains to us this is what happened. She came home that day. She had a lot of stuff going on. She came home. He doesn't have a lot of stuff going on. She calls him and she asks him, "Hey, can you go find some country western stuff? Can you find some stuff for the tonight's theme?" And he tells her no. Now, we don't know if he said no because he couldn't, or no because like he just didn't want to, or no because he just was like, whatever. But he told her no. And that would have been a red flag for me too, Calabria. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't ask for help very often. I'm not one of these. I'm not the type of person, and it's because I feel like I have this experience where they choose to do something and now everyone has to do it too. Like you choose to sign up for the bake sale and now I have to bake cakes. No. So because of that, I'm somebody who does not expect if I say that I'm going to do something, I don't expect someone to help me do it. So in this role, I was kind of mixed feelings because if she wanted to dress country western, then it was up to her to find the thing to do, to find it, to do it. I don't think she's outside of her rights to ask her husband or her boyfriend to maybe go and do some stuff for her, especially if she's running around ripping and running and, whatever. And he says no. I would have been annoyed too because I never asked for help. Go find me a hat. Can you go find me a cowboy hat? I mean, I wouldn't even know what to do. So he says no. She gets home. She's frustrated because of this. She ends up going to Ross down the street, finding some items, coming home, and then they get into the car and she has an attitude and he doesn't know why. So he then proceeds to ignore her because he's upset or whatever, but that she's upset. So they get there, he turns on. He's Edmund for the cameras. And then in a moment when Annie's like, "You're so perfect, Nick," because she's drunk, he's like, "Wow, wow, you just say it like that? Wow, that's dope." And now she's pissed because she's like, "I do a lot for you. I do a lot for us. And the one time I asked you to do some shit for me, you can't get it together to do it. You can't do it. You tell me no. You don't have time. You're too busy. Whatever." Okay. Well, guess what? When you ask me to do something, I might not have time either. I'm gonna be too busy. Watch. Watch. So she's like, "Excuse me, what do you mean?" And so that's when he was like, "Rah, rah, rah," and then at the end, he's like, "I'm gonna die. I wanna die." So they're having a conversation based on that. So she goes to him and she's like, "I don't get it. I don't know why you're fake in front of these cameras. I don't know why you were acting like you didn't do anything to me and you didn't understand I was frustrated. Like, stop ignoring my feelings and stop like just honoring yours." And so he apologizes to her. And so they're able to move on from that. And uh, they're able to move on from that. So then we move on to Anton and Allie. And Allie is meeting Anton's mother for the first time. And I'm really curious about how this conversation is going to go because Anton's been talking about how he is a Russian immigrant and his, mother, he's raised with his mother and he wants to be a traditional Russian man, blah, blah, blah. So I'm thinking that maybe the mother's going to come in and expect Alini to be more, I don't know, Susie Homemaker vibe, and I don't know what the house looks like. So I was just interested in seeing what his mother would come, what energy she would bring. Let me tell you the energy that Anton brought. Hungry. Home, not even Hun, Hon. That man was hungry. The way he was eating in front of Allie, his mother, and the 8 members of production was a study. I said, Boy, you ain't never ate before? Talking with his mouth. And I said, and the mother didn't even stop him. The mother didn't even say in a sidebar in Russian, Anton, you're eating like a wild dog. Can you just close your mouth? Or can you stop eating? That woman did not raise him right. No. Uh-uh. That woman did not raise him right. I'm convinced at that point. When that happened, I was said, because she's watching him. She is watching him. I mean, them croissant sandwiches must have been so good. He's like, yeah, I'm ready to be a husband. I'm super ready. And then I could see Lini like, and the mother's just like, Anton is such a good boy. He's such good boy. Such good boy. I'm so very proud of Anton. Such good boy. This good boy. And we're like, no. No. Absolutely not. Okay? Absolutely not. And that's not something you can train out of him. He's too grown. How old is Anton? He is too grown to be eating like that in front of people. Oh, 29. That man is never changing. He will eat like that for the remainder of his days. For the remainder of his days. Maybe when he sees himself eating on TV, he'll stop. And I hope they talk about it. I hope Vanessa brings it up. He's going to be like, what can I say? Those croissant sandwiches are really good. No, what you can say is, I'm so embarrassed at the way I eat. I didn't realize I did that. Now I'm going to be hyper aware of it. Very much aware of taking bites of food and chewing and swallowing it before I start talking. Now, it's not like I've never seen people like gobble down food. Like I've seen it. I've had some good old oxtail that I know that I was definitely like, but not on TV, boo. Not on TV. Not on TV. If I were on TV, I would eat my oxtails with a knife and fork. How that would happen, your guess is as good as mine, but I would make it work. Girl. So mother likes Allie, and Allie does her, her best mom impersonation. We move on to everybody going and getting their fittings for their clothing for the wedding. And it's now 4 girls, because Annie's out of the race. Okay. These next 3 episodes, these people drop like flies. And I'm very happy because this is what needed to happen. Be honest. I love the honesty. I'm here for it. So Annie's now not at this. And so now it's 4. It's Jasmine. No, who's Jasmine? It's Madison. It's KB. It's Allie. And it's Sparkle Megan. And they're all picking dresses. And, this whole moment is so cute. Like Madison starts to boo-hoo to hoo-to-hoo. Boo-to-hoo-hoo. Okay. Some people's dresses look better than others. I'm going to go ahead and say right now that Allie is a snake because she said that Calabria's first dress was so beautiful and called her a vision. And I said, that is an absolute incorrect statement. Allie cannot be trusted. She was about to lead Calabria off a bridge. Now, Calabria's second outfit was ugly too. The one she went to the altar with, too much. It was ugly. It was ugly. That was an ugly dress. It would have been so much cuter if the top wasn't lace over a corset. If the bottom can be tufted or whatever that is, right? It can be that. But let the top be something like smooth, like maybe a satin or maybe not a shiny satin either. Like whatever the top is needed to be like very pure. Maybe a little bit of pleating, maybe like a heart shape right here. And then you have this bottom, it'll make her look like a little swan, right? But I said, Allie, girl, you lying to her? Why you telling her she look like a vision in this dress? She look like a vision of crazy. This absolutely crazy ass dress. It was too much going on. So then we move on to the guys, and the guys are trying on different things. And, Edmund is like, this is my friend Lewis. And Nick is like, who's that in the middle? He's like, oh, this Diane. I said, if I were Diane, I would have immediately been like, Lewis and I don't know if Lewis and Diane are married, and that's why he forgot to introduce Diane. He thought Lewis was going to do it, but it was very weird. It was very weird. Jordan was there with him and his peep. Anton was there with his mother and one of his friends. And Joe was there with his peeps, sweating like a whore in church. Let me tell you about Joe. So during Joe's fitting, he did not want to be there, bro. He didn't. I mean, his friends were trying to put on a show because they're on a show, and he ended up telling his friends to shut up and stop asking him questions. And then at some point, he's talking to producers, and he's like, I wrote it down. This is my notes. Joe doesn't know how to tie a tie. He doesn't want to try on any pants, and he also doesn't want any questions. He's like, it's stressful, man. This is too stressful. Let's do this tomorrow. I got to get the fuck up out of here. He gets up and leaves, and everyone watches him just walk across this long ass lawn to get to his car so that he could like get out of there. He's like, nah, I am good. I am very much good. I don't need this. I don't require it. I don't need it. I'm not doing it. It's too much. It was so evident to me from the beginning that Joe was not emotionally available for this. It's so evident. And it's crazy the fact that like Madison wanted to be married so bad that she was willing to look stupid on national television running after this no good man. Okay, I jumped to the bottom. So Madison starts to cry when everyone comes out with their dresses. She cannot wait to put on a dress herself. I mean, just I was like, girl, just go ahead and cry, because I feel like a lot of times people ugly cry because they're trying to hold it back. Just go ahead and just cry. Cry, girl. Don't hold it back because you look crazy right now. On TV. And I was like, ma'am, can somebody just take her out so that she can get herself together? Can someone do that? So we move back to Jordan, and Jordan's like, yeah, man, life is great. Yeah, awesome. You know, this morning Megan was cuddling with Luca on the couch while I was trying to get some sleep, and like, you know, everything was awesome. And I was like, Jordan, first of all, it's too soon for her to be cuddling with your baby. Put that baby in his own seat and Megan sit on the own seat. What they cuddling about? Get that girl off your baby. And he was so happy about it. And I'm just like, if I hear that little boy's name one more time, and don't worry, we're gonna hear it more, but the whole time, why do we keep saying this child's name? He's going to be so disappointed when they watch this back. He was like the 17th cast member we never saw. It was too much of utilizing him as like a storyline. And I wish that he had said, hey, can we be very minimal on any of the Luca talk, especially because we didn't go forward. I mean, maybe he tried to and they were like, no, but it was a lot about Luca. It was a lot. So anyways, Madison's mother says that she met Joe and she did not clock any red flags. And I was like, and she's like, normally I can clock the ick. And I was like, no. I was like, you have a bad radar, ma'am. Did he seem like somebody who was ready to get married? And I guess he was good at putting on a show. I think he really was. But the too much of the show shows to me that you're not ready for marriage. I cannot be with somebody who wants to be the life of the party. And it feels like Joe wants to be the life of the party. He can't help it. He's a bro. That's not for me. That's not for me. That's not for me. So the episode ends with Joe running away. So we have in this episode 2 of the dudes exit stage left. They're like, hell nah. Absolutely not. Negative Ghost Rider. They bounce. And it's so sad for these girls, okay? So sad. At the end of the episode, they play this song called Man Child to Joe's credits of him running away. Whew, girl, I loved it. It was a great episode. I'm gonna be honest with you. The honesty, I was here for it. All right. Next episode is episode 11. It is called Don't Go Breaking My Heart. Let me blow my nose real quick. Sorry. Okay. So we start off this with a little bit of montage, and there Jordan and Megan are at this Wiccan person doing some tarot cards, and she's like, so you're spiritual but you don't believe in my spirituality? And he's like, no. And I thought that was really weird, because when people say that they're spiritual, I assume that they believe in anything having to do with the spirit realm or anything like that. So if you tell me you're spiritual, I think that you're somebody who accepts all different types of spiritualities, and Wiccan would be a part of that. But that's me. I just think I have a large birth of like understanding of different religions. Now, that being said, she pulls out the soulmate card, and he's like, I could have told you that. And I was like, there's nothing about you two that shouts soulmate at me. I'm still not convinced with Megan and Jordan at this point, even though they seem to be, or want us to believe that they are. I'm not convinced. So, we start off with Megan crying on the ground, and she's like, Joe is gone. Joe left. He's done. And she's on the phone crying to somebody, child. And so he's like, he told me that I'm not his person, and that he would say no at the altar. And she's mad because she tried on wedding dresses. She feels like he should have stopped her from trying on wedding dresses. And I was like, is this an arbitrary line of demarcation? Who cares that you tried on wedding dresses? Is it because you've always had some little girl fantasy of trying on a wedding dress? Well, now it's come true. So congratulations, you got that far. You just didn't make it to the altar. So what was he supposed to do? Because you tried on wedding dresses, that means that, you have to get married now. I just think it's so interesting. In a world where people are together for a very long time before they get married, it seems weird to me that in this situation where they're not together for very long before they get married, you would assume that the person would have time up to the moment of the altar to say no. I think some people have very different ideas of like how this show is supposed to go. Like, I think there are people who are like, I would like to be embarrassed in front of my entire family at the altar. I don't want you to tell me no now. Tell me at the altar, because I want to go through the full process. Like, I want to buy the dress. I want to show up early. I want to have my makeup done. I want my family to come there. And there's other people who are just like, no, I would rather just cut it off early than later. I don't want to go through all that. And I agree. Cut it off as soon as you don't want it anymore. There's no like, oh, we have to get to the altar to say no. I think that's a worse experience. Personally, tell me no in the privacy of my own home. Don't tell me no when I'm standing up and on stage in front of everybody. So Joe is just like, it wouldn't be right. And she's like, well, I need to know why. And he's like, there is no reason why. I'm just, it's not for me. I'm not ready for this. And she's like, well, if it's not me and it's not you, then I'm like, girl, what do you want him to say? You want him to say, girl, I'm not attracted to you. Okay. Your body type is not what I want. You also yell at me for everything. You've been yelling at me and mad and crying since Mexico. I'm going to tell you right now. And I don't know what this says about me. I cannot see people crying too much before I'm like, okay, get on out of here. No. Like, there's only so much I think someone should have to take within a 3-week period of seeing you cry. You got to cry once a week? I'm not marrying you. I'm not marrying you. I don't care if you're a woman. I don't care. I'm not marrying you. You're just crying all the time? Obviously, something's wrong if I'm making you cry, or the situation is making you cry, so we shouldn't get married. If you're not crying for joy, if you're crying because I forgot to order an extra egg roll for you, or you're crying because I came into the door and didn't say hi to you and don't want to talk to you for the first 30 minutes of me getting home, then we shouldn't be together. I think it's so interesting when people like call out the things that they want, and when the person is like, well, I can't give that to you, so I think we should be done. And they're like, no. And I'm like, you just gave a boundary. And the person is saying, no, I don't want to do that. Or you gave a need, and the person is like, no, I don't want to give that to you. So let's break up. And then they're like, so you're giving up? No, I'm not. You said that you need somebody who comes home and the first thing they do is ask questions about your day and rubs your feet. I'm telling you that I'm not that person for you. So that means that we'll not be together. And then the other person is like, but can't you just try to rub my feet? I already told you I don't want to rub feet. But I don't understand. If we're going to get married and you say you want to get married, why won't you rub my feet? because I don't want to. And I'm never going to want to. What that it's so weird to me. Am I crazy? I'm watching these people try to force people to do things they don't want to do and then are mad at them when they go, okay, this is not working then. This woman he tried to tell her how scared he is, how worried he is. And she's like, well, I'm sorry that I'm not more negative. I'm upset too, but I'm not talking to you about it. What? And it's not just her, it's not just Madison. It was, Megan Fox from last season. It was or the season before. There's always one person with these, like, grandiose ideas of what this love looks like, and when the very real person in front of you tells you that they cannot make the mark, you get mad at them for not trying hard enough, and I'm like, "That's not the way it works. You are not 2 little fishies in a fishbowl. There is an entire world out there, and best believe Imma find a partner who doesn't want me to come home and rub their feet. There are people out there that I can find who won't put that parameter on me. So why would I settle for you? And Joe's saying no, and so did Nick. I'm saying no to the crying. I'm saying no to the drunken nights of you telling me that I'm not in this as much as you are. I'm saying no to that. I'm gonna be unhappy with this man said I'm gonna be unhappy with her. She would make me miserable. And I agree. I agree. She needs a golden retriever. She needs somebody who wants to sit up underneath her until she's ready to pet him. Like she was too much. Now she's not too much for someone else, but she's too much for me and Joe. So we're going our separate ways. Yeah. She's like, um, she would like clarity, and he says he doesn't know. And she's like, well, I feel it's because of the other singles. Is there somebody else? Are you okay with me? And he's like, girl, who's even talking about the singles? And maybe it was, even if it was, who cares? What does it matter? Do you need to know that I don't like you? I'm not attracted to you? It's just like, why do you, why? People are so weird to me. You need to have that answer. And I understand it to a certain extent that it's a human desire and that I'm a different person and that you're a different person and maybe you would need to know. But I just don't think I don't think Joe is willing to he already said enough nonsense on national TV. I don't think him double downing and telling her exactly why he's not interested in her would make him look good at all. And it was the right choice for him to be quiet about it. I would, if I were her, I'd be like, hey, now that the cameras are gone, can you tell me why you don't think this will work? And then I think he could go, well, remember that first night when you yelled at me because I got drunk? Yeah, I didn't feel like it was appropriate for you to yell at me. And when you came into the room and started like were mad, and then when it told you that I was drunk and or waking up, and so I didn't know what was going on, and you were like, "I'm sorry for having emotions and wanting to love on you." I don't like that response. Like I feel like I want to be with somebody who does not fake apologize for being something that they think is that they should be. So that's one. Two, remember like like it could be just as simple as I don't like the way you fight. And I don't know that you can change the way that you fight. I'm not willing to go to therapy with you to figure out to change the way that you fight. I'm just gonna find somebody who fights differently. I'm spending a lot of time talking about Madison. I know this, but I just don't. There's part of me that just doesn't get it. It is I don't get it. It's like, why are you so desperate to be in relations, or where is this desperation coming from? I mean, I too was once desperate, but I don't know that I would have forced a situation where where I was constantly yelling at somebody. Love me. Treat me the way I want to be treated. Like I wouldn't do that to somebody. There's a big wide world out there. I don't need to do that to anyone. I don't need to do that to myself. I don't need to do that to them. Um she's like, "Oh, I'm really sad, like, I'm really sad. Are you sad?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm sad." And she's like, "Well, you doesn't seem like you're sad because if you were sad, you'd be over here hugging me. Like, doesn't it make you sad that you're not going to be able to have sex with me anymore?" And then she tried to throw that at him. She was like, "We have such good, gushy, gushy sex, and now you're not going to have it anymore. Are you sure you don't want to marry me?" Girl. She's like, "I'm going to be so sad that we're not going to hug each other and cuddle with each other anymore. Don't you miss that?" because it doesn't feel like it. So for her, a man who I think Joe needed to be more distraught about it for her to be okay. He's like, I feel, she's like, I just wanted you to know that it feels like I'm dying on the inside. And he yawns. He's like, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Dying on the inside? Who are you, Edmund? Dying on the inside over Joe? The self-esteem is in the basement, girl. The self-esteem is in the basement. And she's like, even though I'm so mad at you, I want to thank you for being a part of my like personal journey on this. I was so disgusted, as you can tell. Completely, completely unimpressed. Completely unimpressed with her whole situation. Okay. So then we move on, and surprise, surprise, KB and Edmund are fighting. So they are on a snowmobile, I think it is. They're on a snowmobile, and they get to the top of some mountain, and she gets off and she's like, I'm gonna go get hot chocolate. And he's staring at the view. She comes over, brings him hot chocolate, and then doesn't help her. He doesn't like help her to sit down, which to me is a pet peeve. I'm gonna be honest with you. It took me a while to get used to men opening doors for me, but now it's a must. Open doors for me. If I'm wearing heels, you gotta walk slower and you gotta help me. I'm in my lady era. I'm in my feminine era. Open my door. What are you doing? Fight me to open the door. If I go to reach for it, you should hit my hand away. I mean, not hard, but like you should move my hand away. That's what you should do. So she's like, listen, I don't understand why you act different when the cameras are here. And I can't do that with you. I can't switch up like that. And he's like, what do you mean? And she's like, you know what I mean? You ignored me the whole way here in the car because you were mad about something. And now we get here and the cameras are on and you're like life of the party, Edmund. And I don't get that. And then she does that stupid thing where she's like, you make me be the old me. And I'm like, no, no one makes you do anything. You make you be the old you. You react the same way. That's the one critique I'll have for KB is she would keep saying, you're making me be the old me. You're making me do this. This is why I act this way because you do this. No, it is your responsibility to self-regulate. The same way I'm gonna hold Edmund to his self-regulation is the same way I'm gonna hold you to your self-regulation. Don't pop off on him and be like, you made me do it. That's abusive. Going forward, just know that is abusive. Do not do it. You are responsible for the way that you behave. And if somebody makes you do something that you feel is calling you out your character, which to me is not calling you out of your character, it is bringing up a character that you do not want to necessarily exhibit, but that's who you are, boo. The way you act in these moments, that's who you are. It's not your whole being, but that's a part of who you are. So if you don't want that to happen, you need to change that behavior pattern. Somebody else can't do that for you. So I'm getting off my soapbox for that. I didn't like that. She feels like she was dismissed, that he ignored her, and she just wants her to she just wants him to take responsibility. And he's like, I don't feel like I should have to say sorry when I didn't do anything wrong. And the only thing I can glean about this, because it was really unclear what they were fighting about, is that I think Edmund has a very specific way of going inward when he's frustrated or upset and doesn't want to argue. And I think he never wants to. And part of that is him shutting down. And then when he gets over it, he wants to be back on as bubbly Edmund. And she's like, I can't do that. You can't ignore me when you're frustrated. And then when you're ready, come back and start talking to me. Like, I need you in the moment to at least communicate how you're feeling and what you need so that we can put it on at the table on a later date. For example, when he gets overwhelmed or frustrated, he needs to say, I understand there's a conversation that needs to be had right now, but I can't have it in a way that's going to be logical. So I'm going to need 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes to calm down. And then I would like to have the conversation then. Is that okay with you? And if she says, no, that's not okay with her, then he has two options. Okay, you can talk at me. I won't be able to respond to you. Or we can wait. Because I think at the same time, you can't force him to like, he can have his own boundaries too of how he wants to manage through things. Look at us becoming grown adults who manage our emotions. So apparently he was upset initially because they wanted him to do his bachelor party country western theme, and he's like, I don't know, I don't want to do that. Everything in Colorado is country western theme. Like, here's the truth, I had no idea that there were cowboys in Colorado. Like, the way that this show has thrown like the wild west of Colorado down our throats, it's so funny. When I think of cowboys, for some reason I think of like Arizona, or like maybe even like Oklahoma. And I know that's not that far away from Colorado, but I surely don't think of Colorado. So it's just interesting where my mind goes. So, um, we move on to Allie and her mom, and they talk about Allie's sister, which I don't know why, because it never comes up again. But apparently, Allie's sister is not interested in this process. And then Anton is late to meet Allie's mother. So Allie's mom tries to impart some wisdom, and she says that, there will be some problems that you guys will have in your relationship if you don't choose family over friends. And so I feel like Allie has told her mom about his strip club like proclivities, and that her mom is wanting to lay the groundwork for, like, basically you have to give up your friends and be in this family. You and Allie are now a family, and your friends no longer take precedent. You having fun by yourself no longer takes precedent. If you want to go out, you go out with Allie, and vice versa. You all should not have your own lives. And I was like, this is a lot of toxicity in this moment. That is not true. I don't believe that's true. And if that is true for what Allie wants, then I think that's an interesting way of having your mother communicate that. So that was weird. Then we move on to Jordan and Sparkle Megan going. They look at cowboy hats, and they're at this place called Kimosabi, which I'm like, is that appropriate? Let me look it up. I just feel like it's some old Western situation that may not be. Kimosabe is a Ojibwa, term that gained popularity through Lone Ranger radio. Yep, meaning trusted scout or faithful friend. I'm like, if there is not a Native American who owns that shop, I wish that you would change the name of that. But anyways, so she starts to tell him more of her misty woo ways about numerology, and she's like, my last house had the address numbers equaled 7, which meant this, and then the house before that had the address numbers equaled 8, which meant money, and that's where I made my money. And she's like, could be less interested. And she's like, well, I went to see a house today, and it's a really great neighborhood, but like the layout was weird and the numbers were weird. And he's like, well, I honestly think that you won't find the perfect house for us unless I'm with you. So damn, Jordan. He gets mad at her for being abrasive, but he could equally be as abrasive when he thinks her ideas are stupid. So then she starts to kind of come at him because he's like, yeah, the suit I got is a deep burgundy. And she's like, we said that we weren't going to do any color. And he's like, yeah, that's what I thought too. But then I was sitting there with Nick Lachey, and I was like, well, it is my wedding too. And she's like, it's our wedding. And I'm like, yeah, but if you're telling him that he can't have color, then it's not our wedding. It is your wedding. It's so weird to me that people have such definite and like definitive ways of what they want their wedding to look like in pictures, and that they would even go so far as to stunt their partner and the things that their partner wants in order to achieve that. Weird. Very weird. So he's like, yeah, it's my day too. And she's like, well, okay, switching gears. When you come home from work, like, why don't you want to talk to me about your day? And he's like, I don't want to. And she's like, well, I want to talk about something. And he's like, well, I don't want to. I've been talking to people all day. And I think that it's not fair for you to expect me to come home and then be a chatterbox with you. And so they kind of pin this conversation, and we end up having it in the later episode. But I agree. And this is not something that I'm aware of or was aware of until I had roommates. When I get home from work, like when I lived with my family, there was no expectation that I would come and start talking to somebody immediately. Now, let me tell you that I did go find my dad and talk to him, talk his ear off until he would tell me to shush and go away. But like, I always got to choose whether or not and when I came down and like talk to people. Then I lived with another family member, and that family member expected me to come home and sit at the table and start talking to them immediately. And I was like, oh no, I talk to people all day. I don't want to talk to anybody right now. And so I realized that there's some behaviors that you don't realize you have, or some needs that you don't realize you have until you are with another person and they're like, oh, how come you don't want to talk to me? And you're like, because I don't want to. And that's a weird expectation to have put on you all of a sudden. So I understand Jordan's like frustration with that. Um, so then we move on to Edmund and KB. He apologizes to her for the way he behaves and brought in some flowers, and she accepts the apology. But at this point, it's now the third apology for his behavior that she's had to accept and like go through and walk him through it. And for me, the same thing with Nick. We're donezo. Like we're donezo. It just doesn't make any sense. Hold on, let me see if I can crack my neck. Ooh! Yay. Yeah, we'd be donezo. I can't keep trying to course correct behavior. I can't keep doing it. I'm not gonna do it. Welcome in, Chantel. Okay. So then after that, Anton and Allie go play in the snow, and I don't really pay attention to their conversation. Then we move on back to Jordan and Megan about him not wanting to talk about his job. It's weird that he doesn't want to talk about his job, but I know people like that who like don't particularly love their job and don't want to rehash the day and they just want to like relax. And he says that his job is more taxing. And this is where the money judgment situation comes in. I knew that Jordan was going to have a problem with her making more money than him. The moment he said that he was blue collar, which I'm like, are you blue collar, sir? Like, do we even use those turn of phrases? I think we can use them in a general sense, but to refer to somebody who's like a branch manager of a transportation company, is that blue collar, or is that just like, is that like a periwinkle collar? You know what I mean? It's somewhere between white collar and blue collar. You may be working with your hands, but you also have a laptop you're typing on. You know what I mean? Like if you have your own personal work laptop, I don't think you can call yourself blue collar. And there's so many jobs now that are that in between where, yeah, you are out there. You may sweat. You do work with your hands, but for the most part, you're like logistically working with a computer. You're typing emails. You're as a manager, you're holding people accountable for behavior. It's way more than just that. But he wants to drive home that he's just so simple. And I'm like, with all those tattoos, how much money have you spent on tattoos? Them tattoos are pretty intricate. So you've made money. And he's like, the Gucci slippers. Yeah, you've made money. You've spent money. And I knew that he was going to have a problem with her making more money. And it's not that I think he had a direct problem with it, but he felt like he couldn't keep up with her. And I wonder what their conversations was like. Because if it were me and I had more money than my man, if I felt like, well, I can't keep paying for you to do everything, which I think I would. Because honestly, if the shoe were on the other foot and he had more money, and I know we live in a patriarchy and like, men have more opportunity to make more money than women and like things are uneven. So it may make sense for people, for if a man has more money to take care of his woman because of the less opportunity in the world for women. And if the money situation were on the other side, that a woman should be okay. But I think it's hard to determine because if a man is so okay with his wife paying for everything because she made more money prior to them getting married, is he using her? Or is he not stepping into his masculinity? Like, I think of like the Silva twins and how they take care of their men with no problem. And it does feel weird to me that Florian and Georgie seem to like just leech off of them to a certain extent. Now, we now know that Georgie doesn't want to leech off of her and that he has his own money, but it's weird that they don't pool their money. So like for me, it wouldn't matter that she made more money, but it sounds like based on the argument that she makes head over heels more money, like multi-millionaire, and he's barely making six figures. Like he's like at 102k a year, and she's making $6 million a year. It's $18 million a year. That's the way they're making this chasm feel. And I'm like, if she's able to just go on a plane and go to Aspen, why doesn't she just take her husband with her? Why doesn't she just take him with her if she wants him to go? Like, she obviously can't expect him to to dole out or shell out any more money than he has been because he has a child. But also because, that's he was living within his means. Like, why should he have to like go into debt or like whatever? But I just wonder, like, he's like, "Well, I'm sorry that I have to work, so I have less leisure time. And so when I come home, all I want to do is watch TV or go to the gym. I don't want to talk because I have to work." That's what it felt like. And she's like, "Well, I want to go to tennis at 10 a.m. Like, I want to like take trips to Aspen. I want to do all these things. And like, I want you to court me." And he's like, "I understand that that's what you want, but I'm blue collar. I can't afford to court you. I'm blue collar. I'm just a simple guy. I can't talk to you when I come home from work because I have a taxing job." What? It was weird. Wasn't it weird? It felt like he was trying it was felt like he wasn't trying to blame the money, but he was. What does him being able to come home and talk to her have to do with her making more money than him? And why can't he say, "You know what? What I'll do is I'll go to the gym for my first hour when I get off of work. That way when I come home, I'll be ready to chat with you. But for the most part, when I come home from work, I'm not gonna wanna chat about work. I just wanna, like, veg out and watch TV and just hang out with you." And she's like, "Well, I just wanna do that in silence? Like, I need more than that." And I'm like, "You don't have any friends?" She's just, like, really wants to have this, like, very specific dynamic with her husband or her partner that does it doesn't work for him, but it doesn't I don't feel like it has to, and I feel like his excuse is, like, limited. His excuse is weird to me. His excuse is weird to me. It doesn't like make any sense. He just keeps wanting to tell her that he's simple. And I'm like, "Okay, so what if she just here, let's change the scenario. What if she did go to work all day? What if she's like a lawyer or something, still making more money than you, still able to go to Aspen? Like what if she was a lawyer and she came home from work and wanted to talk to you? What would your argument be then? She was talking to people all day. She's a lawyer. She's a litigator. She's talking to people all day. It felt like he was like weaponizing it. And she's like, "I'm not like denying what you do." He's like, "You are. I'm blue collar. When I come home, I just want to like put my hand down my pants and sit on the couch and fart and like drink beers." It was weird. It was weird. It was such a weird excuse. Just say, "Girl, I need 30 minutes when I get home. And when I got Luca, I need 45, 50 minutes. There are some days I'm not gonna wanna come home and gab with you." And that to me says you're not ready to be married. If you don't wanna come home and talk to your spouse, I don't think you're ready to be married unless they're okay with it. For the most part, I think your spouse wants to talk to you. So it's very, very weird. And he's like, he's like, "I know when we finally have kids, like, you're gonna have to slow down. I know that you can afford a nanny, but like, I don't want my child raised by somebody else." And then I was mad. That is such an antiquated way of thinking of things. It is such an antiquated and weird, judgy way of thinking about things. A nanny doesn't like raise your child, they assist you. Now, some women do just leave and have their kids with the nanny or even their mother or a family member that comes and helps them with it, with the child. But I don't think you can judge the way that a person parents. I think you can. I think people do. There's an idea that if you're not doing it all yourself, then you're not really doing it. But that's not fair. I think that it's always been those who have family and those who have money, those who have a village are able to leverage that village. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Especially if you being around your kid means that you're going to be neglectful and mean to them, let them be around their aunt who's not going to be. Sure, you'll have to deal with the consequences later when everybody's in therapy. Fine. But I think as a society, if we just let go with having motherhood or parenthood look a specific way, then I think everybody would be better off. The kids wouldn't feel guilty or be made fun of or feel whatever, and the parents wouldn't feel guilty and be made fun of. Like let's just change the way we think about that. People have villages, and villages step in and help you take care of your children when you can't or don't want to. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Now, I'm not talking about the foster care system. I'm talking about the actual village of your family. Exactly. I'm sorry, does Luca not I'm sorry, is Luca with a family member the whole day? Like, also, like, what's the difference between a nanny and a babysitter? Or, like, childcare? Isn't a nanny to me, a nanny is just more, like, at home specific childcare. Sometimes they wash dishes, other times they don't. If you're an au pair, you're there because you speak another language or you're teaching them something. The level of expectation from that person is a little bit higher. But, like, what's the big deal? Girl, if I could afford a nanny, I'd have one right away. I'd have one until my kid was 18. Or at least a housekeeper. If I can afford that, someone to take the load off. Like, oh, if you're not wiping the dish, if you're not washing the dishes, changing the diapers, and washing the laundry, you're not doing your might. You're not really being a house mom or a wife. Get out of here, girl. Give me some help. Kayla says, I assume Luca goes to school or either daycare or pre-care or kindergarten and is a part of the time with his mom. So what does that mean? Yeah, exactly. I want to raise my own kid. I don't want somebody else raising my kid. Okay. So suffer for no reason then. Get out of here. She says that she wants to be courted, that she still wants flowers, she still wants interaction, she still wants to go out on dates. And he's like, she thinks they're different. And he's like, we're the same. You just have more money. If I had more money, I'd be the same way. And I'm like, boy, you blend chicken breasts with Crystal Light and chug it in order to get your protein. You don't know what burrata is, and neither did I, apparently, because I thought burrata was bruschetta, but I was wrong. Bruschetta. But anyways, you didn't know what burrata was. You don't. You guys are not the same. You guys are not the same. You're not the same. Okay, let's move on to the last episode, and that episode is called "Vow or Never." So with this, we have the wedding episode. So Megan and her friends are in some kind of lodge. Was this filmed at the same time that Calabria and Edmund were uh in the snow playing, yelling at each other at the mountaintop? Lots of, like, hair, helmets, ski masks. And she's talking about possibly having to give up her lifestyle to slow down to be with Jordan. And again, I was like, why doesn't Jordan just come along with you? Is it because he would be mad at you and, like, mad that he has to go and do these fun things? Mad that he can't do these fun things or take time off of work, but because he has Luca, so he can't take time off of work because, you know, I'm like, well, maybe you should downgrade your job. If your wife wants you to live at her speed, then you look at her and you go, okay, then I'm gonna work at Trader Joe's. I'm gonna go fill out a little paper application for Trader Joe's. I'm gonna go work there so that I can work part-time and I can go with you anywhere. Is that okay? And if she says no, then you're like, well, unfortunately, then I won't be. I gotta work. I gotta work. So the friends are like, you could be an amazing mom. And, like, she's like, I really am, like, I really want to hang out with Luca. I'm like, Jesus Christ. Jesus. So she's gonna marry this man because he has a kid and she really wants a kid. So I'm like, the best kid is a baby. To me, between the ages of 3 months and a year, I would even say 3 months and 8 months. Them is the best years. They're still, like, clingy. They're so chubby and cutie dooties. That is my favorite age of a kid. When they start walking, then you got to start watching them. Okay, that's when you can't look away because they be on the move, touching stuff, doing things, putting things in their mouth. Oh, the putting things in their mouth phase and walking, stressful as hell. And then let's skip to 9. Because in between there is a lot of unable to regulate emotions, a lot of tantrums, a lot of, like, it's a stress. 9, you can, like, say a sentence to them and have them understand it. If you've done a good training and, like, taught them how to be decent human beings, like, you're fine. So for me, from, like, 1 year to 9, that's hard. That's a hard time frame. Okay. Yeah, I'll give you 8. 7 is too young. 8, from a 1 year to 8 years old. That's a stressful time period. I mean, it's stressful, I think, throughout, but that's a very stressful time period. You got to teach them how to be good humans. You got to understand that they don't know how to regulate their own emotions. They'll be crying and doing stuff. You got to discipline them. And I'm not saying corporal punishment. I'm just saying, like, however you do them, you got to like set boundaries. You have to create boundaries within yourself to be able to manage through them and their emotions. And then when you have more kids on top of that, and you got some kids that are potty trained and peeing in the bed and then poopy diapers, and then you got them being sick, and sometimes they're sick and they can't tell you what's wrong. Like, yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. So her being like, I just can't wait to be a mom. Good for you. Let's hang out with Luca for a couple years, and let's see what that feels like. Then we'll see what we can do. So Allie and her friends are talking, and they're also talking about him being traditional and how he's a truck driver. And she's like, he makes good money. Or she's like, well, he makes really good money. Well, not really good, just good. He makes good money. And like, and they're like, yeah, but you're wanting to marry him for the potential for who he could be. She's like, well, he talks about wanting to open a barber shop. He has his own home. And they're like, take it from us, two Russians who are getting a divorce. And so they don't. So, oh my God, sorry. Potty training, bedtime, bath time. Oh my God, bedtime, bath time. You have to be specific with that. You have to be on schedule with that. Oh my God. And it's every day. It's Monday through Sunday. Bedtime, bath time. Every day. It's intense. So no just passing out on the couch when you're tired. Gotta give all that up. Anywho, so she's talking to these people and they've got her thinking that maybe Anton isn't for her. And I don't think Anton is for her at all. I think based on what she wants, I think she wants a man who has a little bit more money, who's allowing her to kind of do whatever, and they can hire a nanny and a housemaid to clean. She's very clear about her not worrying about household chores. She wants to get Botox. Her nails need to stay beautiful, the non-nurse nails. She's gonna go get her master's. She wants a leisure life. She's not afraid of working, but she's also not going to come home and clean. So you need to be able to hire some supplemental help. And I feel like he would want her to come and clean. She would also want him to stop drinking. So there's that. All right. So we move on to the weddings. It's Allie and Anton, and Anton isn't sure if she's gonna say yes. He thinks that she's perfect for him, and I'm like, yeah, because she's little and very beautiful. That's why you think she's perfect for you. Sure, you don't think she's perfect for you because she doesn't clean, and because she already told you she doesn't like the fact that you drink, and the annoying way that she tried to communicate to you about the drinking. She's never gonna say anything outright to you. She's gonna just judge you. You know she's not right for you, but men will just push everything aside in order to be with the cute little girl. And so she wants to be fair to Anton, but her mother's like, we don't drink in this family. And I'm like, what is that like? What is that like? I've never been a part of a family or like been adjacent to a family that just don't drink. Just what? What is this? Not at all? She's like, well, I drink, Mom. And she's like, well, not as much as he. I'm like, girl, this is a real crazy judgment right now. Anyways, his mother is trying to give him pep talks and such and tell him, he can see the writing on the wall. They get to the altar. She says no. He says yes. She says no because, quote, the person I fell in love with the pods is not the person in real life. And I needed her to expand more on that. Maybe she did, but I had to fast forward the episode. So y'all let me know. Did she say what the difference was? Is that maybe she thought he was taller, more handsome, and made more money? What was the difference? How is it because she didn't know he drank? This show was nothing but alcohol. It's like, what is it that she fell in love with in the pods that he didn't exhibit out in the real world is what I want to know. Okay. The next couple that we move on to is KB and Edmund. So KB and Edmund, she walks in, she's overwhelmed, she's crying, and it looks like she's doing her own makeup. And I was like, why? I saw her putting concealer on with a sponge, and I didn't quite understand why she was doing that. We move on to Edmund. Edmund has his dad there, who I was like, your real daddy? Because Edmund looks like his mother. But how did them two people have a chocolate baby? I'm just asking questions. I know genetics be geneticking, but usually it's never the opposite. It's never like two like have such a chocolate baby. You know what I mean? Um, and then his fifth grade teacher is there. She's gives him some pep talks. Even Calabria's mother goes over and talks to him and like lets him know that he is loved. His mother can't make it. Of course she didn't make it. She barely made it to that meetup and then got over there, started talking crazy about how her other daughter-in-laws talk about her. Of course you didn't make it. Girl. Oh, your family's Christian non-drinkers. Girl, even the Christian people I knew drank. That's when people talk about how they were Christian and their families didn't drink, I'm like, who, I don't know them people. I mean, maybe my aunt doesn't. Yeah, I would say that. I guess I do know people, but I think in general at family gatherings, there's always beverages. There's always beverages at family gathering. There might be some people who don't drink, but there are always beverages. Um, so it's just interesting that she was like, "Yeah, we don't drink." Yeah, so we have his teacher who was like, "You're great. I remember that you would be off bouncing off the walls, and you actually taught me that I could teach when a kid can't sit still. So thank you so much." And she's just making him feel better. So everybody's, really gassing up Edmund because they know he needs it. He's got some like his highs are high and his lows are low. Okay. So they get to the altar and KB says no. Edmund says yes. And Edmund is distraught. It's a cute scene because Allie just left Anton at the altar, but KB stays there with him, hugs him, tells him he's great, says all these great things about him in front of everybody. She really, to me, handles it very well. As a person who broke someone's heart, she is being very responsible in the way that she's handling it. And I like that. So they walk the aisle off together, down the aisle, back out. And he's like, I just need some time by myself. So he goes off by himself. He talks to his teacher and he's like, this is my last chance. Nobody will ever love me. And I get that. Like when I still like really wanted to be booed up, I had such moments of despair and such moments of like crazy loneliness. And I still do. But there is a part of me that is very grateful for the life that I have. There's a huge part of me, and it supersedes that part that used to get despair and feel like let go. And I think that it was due to society's expectation. I was still holding on to like religion and religious expectations. Like there's just somewhat of no value put on people who are single. And it's like there's so much judgment with it. There's so many people who think like, "Oh, well, how do you survive by yourself?" And the truth is rough. Financially, it sucks. But otherwise, very well. Like I do what I want when I want. No compromise. And I like that because there was not so much. I'm so far out of being not in control of my life, but I think earlier on when I wasn't in control of my life, I was so unhappy. And I think that I have to be very grateful that I'm able to live the life that I want to live. And if I had a partner, who knows how they would affect my life, especially earlier on. Would I be doing the things that I love? I don't know. Would I have settled for somebody who didn't let me be who I wanted to be? Probably. I think that I was very impressionable for a very long time. And it wasn't until I accepted who I was, radically accepted who I was, that I was like, oh no. And I'm still learning things about myself that I'm like, yeah, I don't like that. Mm-mm. Putting that in the list of don't likes. And I'm allowed to have those lists. I think that sometimes when you're in a relationship, you're not allowed to have certain lists. Like you're not allowed to just like because you've chosen to walk through life with somebody, you have to make adjustments for them. And I'm okay not having to do that right now. Would I still like to? Maybe. If the right person came along and fit me well. But I felt bad for him because I definitely know that feeling of absolute rejection and despair. And it is a really shitty place to be and you feel like you are in a fog and you are lost and you can't see anything in front of you, behind you, to the left or to the right. And it is awful. And so I would wish that on my worst enemy. I would. But I wouldn't wish that on Edmund. I don't think that anybody except for my worst enemy deserves to feel that. So I was sad for him, but I think it was the right move in general for Calabria because Calabria can't be babysitting that man no more. She can't be babysitting that man no more. Mm-mm. I'm glad that we only had 3 couples get to the aisle. I'm so glad. Now let's move on to our next couple, our last, Jordan and Megan. Megan comes to Jordan. She's like, look, it's not gonna work. I talked to my girls. I thought about it, and you're right. The fact that you don't want to come home and talk to me because you're blue collar means that I shouldn't be with you. That's not what she said, but she said they're two different people. And he's like, I think we're the same person. And I'm like, Jordan, stop saying that. You don't think they're the same person. You want to come home and have silence, and she wants to come home and talk to you. That's a huge difference. He's like, I think we work. It's just that, she has more leisure time. Okay. Okay. So then quit your job and change how you do things so that you get maybe what you do is you just live off of Megan's money. You talk to her about living off of her money so that you can come home and do whatever you want to do or pursue whatever your actual passion is so that when you do come home from work, you are going to want to talk to her. And that maybe for a few years, you just work part-time somewhere so that you can pay for Luca. Give your whole part-time paycheck to Luca. And then you run off and do whatever you want to do with Megan. But that's not what you wanted her to dumb down. Even though you said you didn't want that, that's exactly what you wanted her to do. What do you want her to do? Go get a job so she can understand what it feels like to come home and not want to talk to anybody? I'm pretty sure she still want to talk to you. So he's trying to make it seem like she just wants to quit and that she never really loved him. And I was like, that's such a coward's way out of it. That is such a cowardly thing to say. I was so disappointed in the way that he behaved at the end of this. And then he's like, yeah, you have 5 years on me, throwing age at her. And, just a lot of things that he did. He's like, you shouldn't have picked me in the pods then. Um, and she's like, I'm really sorry for not feeling more compassion and giving you what you needed in the pods and whatever. And it was just such a weird breakup. And she just said she didn't know how challenging it would be. And now she doesn't know if she's ever going to be cut out to be a mom. And I was like, girl, just get you a nanny. Yeah, you will be cut out. Just get you a nanny who can travel with you, who wants to travel with you and that baby and maybe your husband, but you can be a mom. And he's like, I wish I didn't introduce her to my son. I'm sorry. You got on this show. There's no way that you would have been able to marry anybody without introducing them to your son. So you now regretting the last 3 weeks of your life based on this one person saying no because you don't want to come home and talk to her is crazy. I didn't think this was going to end this way for him. I'm actually shocked that he behaved this way. Shocked and shooketh. But I think it was the way it needed to happen. I think that pretending anything otherwise is folly. And I like the fact that she said that she didn't want to get on the altar and have this conversation in front of everybody. I thought it was a good choice. So, anyways, that's the end of the episode, you guys. Let me see. Thank you so much for watching. If you had the hee hee ha ha's while watching this and you want to give your girl a tip, you can do so with the many ways down below. Let me see if anyone did so I can say thank you. Oh, yes. Thank you so much, Soraya. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And yeah. What do you guys think? Soraya says, I never saw their connection. Also says he needs to reframe some thinking. Absolutely. He 100% does. Let's see. And it's not like he has Luca full-time, right? Oh, yeah, the blue-collar conversation. Blue-collar means uniform. Oh. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Yeah. I can't wait for the reunion because I think they've all seen the show and I think that I hope it's live. I think they've all seen all the backlash and been on all the podcasts. They went on these podcasts really early this year. I didn't even listen to a lot of them because I was like, it's going to be an indicator of whether or not they got together or they got married. Like I could tell that Annie hadn't gotten married with Nick. And I could also tell that Calabria said no to Edmund because Calabria was on Homegirl's podcast. What's Homegirl from 2 years ago? Clay? AB? Mm-hmm. AB? AD? AD. Amber Desiree. Yeah, so Calabria was on Amber Desiree's podcast, and I need to now go listen to the episode because I was like, oh, they didn't get married. I could tell from the way that she was responding to some of the questions about Edmund and his behavior that they didn't get married, because I was like, if that's her husband, she's not gonna be on here talking like that. So all right, guys, I'm hungry now. Remember, I don't know, was it this episode where I was telling you guys I was hungry and I just wanted to eat something, but I didn't know and I didn't feel the pangs of hunger? I'm feeling the pangs of hunger now. I think I'm gonna get some chicken noodle soup because I'm not feeling good. A little chicken noodle soup would help. Okay, I will talk to you guys later. Have a fantastic weekend. Remember to be you, be true, and find your place. Bye. And I jump in the line, rock your body on time. Okay, I believe you. Jump in the line, rock your body.